we're going to talk about the 46th episode overall, which is the 17th episode of this season, and it's the 49th episode by production order. So they actually assigned this late, but they moved it up and it became the 46th episode when it aired. Right? So they must have, more problems with some other episodes, and they pushed those back and they said, oh, this one's already done, and brought it forward. Or whatever. I don't know.
What?
The action. Stardate 4598.0, directed by James Komack, and the air date was January 12th, 1968. We're going to talk about this episode that has William Shatner starring as Captain Kirk,
And Leonard Nimoy as Mr. Spock.
DeForest Kelley as McCoy,
And James Doohan as Mr. Scott.
Nichelle Nichols as Uhura,
And Walter Koenig as Pavel Chekhov.
Anthony Caruso as Bella Oxmix,
Vic Tybeck as Jojo Krakow.
and Lee Delano, is that it? As Kalo.
And the story was by David Harmon.
The teleplay was by David Harmon and Gene Coon.
And it was directed by James Komack, as you just mentioned.
And guess who? Cinematography was by our favorite Jerry Finnerman.
Again. So there's some things again that are worth noting right here. One, we do not see Sulu again in this episode. Was he out doing his little thing, or did he just get mad because Walter Koenig got all of his lines?
No. Oh, like he comes back from doing a movie, hates the guy for getting his lines, and then leaves again. I don't know.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's still filming in this part. When was that?
That's been worked out by fans, I'm sure.
Okay, let the fans figure it out.
I have a table too.
If you look at this thing that we just said, well, who's it starring and stuff?
Yeah.
This is the first time that I've seen the story by and the teleplay by. Isn't this the first time that we've seen this? I know that I think there was another story by Gene Roddenberry at one point, right?
Teleplay or something? Or
well, did it have teleplay? But I think it was written by two people too, but a story by Gene Roddenberry. Mm-hmm. So I think this is the first time that we've seen story by someone and then written by someone else, or written by that person with Gene Coon.
Yeah, teleplay. It'd be nice if I learned what all these words mean, right? There's a story. Teleplay, right. What the heck is that? Script? How do all these words really work in
well, I think the way it works out is if I tell you, hey, I got a great idea for a story and here it is, mm-hmm. and then you write it in script format, then you're writing the teleplay. And I'm telling you what it is that I have an idea for a story. I believe that's how it works.
Listen to this. Also starring John Harmon as Teppo, and isn't he the same guy that plays Rat or whatever?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh,
that's correct.
Okay, and Sheldon Collins as Tough Kid, and he's about our age. I'd love to hear what he has to say about the way that episode was. Diane Thorne as the first girl, Sharon Hillier as the second girl, mm-hmm. Buddy Garion as the Hood, and Steve Marlowe as Zabo. Go
yes.
There, make a hit.
The kid was born in 1955, so he's about 6 years older than we are.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you know about him?
He also was in the Andy Griffith Show. Again, another episode where the relation to Andy Griffith is part of Star Trek. Remember? We've seen this before.
Oh, because of the adjoining property, or
I believe that's why. Yeah, he was in Andy Griffith. And he's a dentist now, or has been a dentist. Maybe he's a retired dentist. Yeah. What more do you want to know about him?
That's great.
I did just a little bit of research on it. Just a little bit.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. That was a little surprise.
Yeah. And then the other guy, you're right. He was he called Rat, or what was he called on City on the Edge Forever? He was the bum.
Do you have a short finger, and he dropped the milk? Is that the guy in
I
Saving
believe so. Yeah. There you go. He's back.
Mother?
He's back for more. Why are we watching this episode? What brings us to this historical document, Bruce?
The Enterprise, they go, right? They go around and they visit planets, and then, well, not just the Enterprise. They go around, and then these guys check up on people. We talked about this before, where they check up on the man trap.
And on Nurse Chapel's guy,
Oh yeah,
too.
Brownie. How's
Yeah.
oh, yeah. I know the way so well. Yeah. Well, so they're checking up on the planet. Apparently, they know that this is before the rules of non-interference or prime directive or something like that, right? And so they already know there's contamination, or they have an inkling because they talked about it before they even land. It'd be interesting to see what it is, and then let's learn about it. Got to fix it.
Yeah. And I could have missed something, but we'll get to that because I think that they messed up in this episode a little bit. A little bit.
Oh, they messed up.
Yeah, they did. So anyway, so they're driving along in their little spaceship called the Enterprise. Anyway, they're flying along in their thing called the Enterprise, and they're wanting to check on this thing. And they hadn't heard because they didn't have subspace communications when the Horizon was flying along as a spaceship 100 years before. 100 years before the Enterprise went. So, Captain Kirk explaining to the boss that who's contacting them from the planet's surface and saying, "Hey, come see us. I want you to fly down and land on the planet
By the fire plug, yellow.
by the fire plug." Yeah, the yellow fire plug. Which brings me to I visited that. I'm sure I was on that set when I first came to LA. That's one of the sets I visited. I think that's the New York set. I think it's supposed to be Chicago, right? But I believe that's probably one of the New York back areas. I don't know if it's still intact, but when I first came to LA, I went to all the studios. So
All burned to the ground.
well, not burnt, but they sold a lot of the properties and they got rid of a lot of the back stages and all that other stuff. So it's probably still there though. Anyway, so they come down and they're wanting to check on these people that they left, and they're assuming there's some contamination. I'm not sure how they got that there's some contamination though. How did they figure that out when they're still on the ship?
Yeah, how do they know that? Or did they? It isn't that they just assumed because the Horizon was not part of the Federation and not under the Prime Directive or anything.
Which was non-interference,
And so
exactly.
you go, oh, they must have screwed up. No, they kind of knew already. I guess I wasn't paying attention for the last 40, 50 years when I've been watching. I don't know.
Well, I was trying to figure out how Spock knew, because Spock's the one that said, there's some contamination, but they didn't have the prime directive that said non-interference of the planet. And I think that's how he's figuring out that there's probably some contamination because they didn't keep themselves separate from. And guess what? Major contamination,
Yes,
major.
they're a little bit not inventive. No, what did they say?
They said, God, what is the
Imitative or something.
imitative? So they hadn't had the for non-interference, and well, I put that I landed that I was on that set, and I'm pretty sure I was probably standing right, pretty much by that fire plug at one time. And it's really funny because I just noticed it watching it this time. I've seen this a couple times before, and I didn't notice that even the dames or the broads, as they call them, have the guns, the sidearms, or they're all walking around with sidearms. It's pretty funny. The guys have the machine guns, and all the women have the handguns. So it's pretty funny.
And Spock goes, "Ever have these firearms? I've never heard such a stupid comments in my life."
So they all got them. They all got to have them. And there's this thing going on besides Oxmix and the other boss, Krakow. So they're having a gang war. So they land right in the heart of a gang war when they land on the planet, and they're taken right away to the boss. And they go, "Why are you guys, pulling guns on us? We're down here. We're peaceful guys. Come on. And they go, "Oh, there's nothing like that. Come on. What's wrong with you guys?" So they take them. Bella Oxmix, the boss, which Captain Kirk gets a crack out of it when he's hearing it on the bridge or who is telling him.
Yeah, right.
And they're taken down, and then they find out they're in the middle of this struggle for supremacy on what they find out to be a society that's imitated after the gangs in Chicago.
Chicago Mobs of the 20s.
Was it the
The
20s?
book. Well, the book that
Oh, is it the
Horizon
Chicago
just said
Mobs of the
Chicago
20s?
Mobs of the 20s. So
Written in, I believe he said 1993 or something.
1992.
1992, which when we're in the 60s, we go 92. No, it's kind of funny. They know that it's going to come up soon enough. So, so 1992. So, so they base their society on a 1992. And so we learned some new poker skills. I don't know if that I looked up to see if I could find that game Fizbin or whatever it's called. And I couldn't find it. Only references to it as a Star Trek poker game or a poker
I
card game.
have, when I was a kid, I subscribed to a magazine that was called, I believe it was called the Star Trek Poster Book magazine or something like that. And you got this thing all folded up that was a poster, but it had, I still have it. And in one of those was a description on how Fizbin worked.
Ah,
Yeah.
but only at night. So I didn't know. So we have Fizbin, and we have a piece of the action, and then we have a piece of the reaction. Which, did you see the piece of the reaction? No.
No.
So it was a cartoon episode based on it's following the piece of the action.
Yes.
Oh, you saw that, or did you know that?
You're talking about not Trials and Tribulations from Deep Space Nine, but More Troubles, More Tribbles.
No, I'm talking about the spinoff on this episode. The next episode that's someone wrote as a cartoon for this episode called, I think, A Piece of the Reaction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, same. But it follows this, and it's supposed to be, I guess, when he left his communicator or the phaser on the planet surface, and
Don't know anything about this.
Oh, okay. No, just a little trivia for you there. I love this. I love the thing. There's only one thing with having the biggest. I mean, you could almost use that in a porn movie, right? There's only one problem with that.
Everybody's trying to cut you down.
Everyone's trying to cut you down. It's not safe. It's not having the biggest area to watch over when you're in the mob, right? Trying to take care of. So that was the boss thing.
Didn't he say 12 guys, not including the small fry?
Yeah. I like what Spock's line was. Sanguine. I'm not sanguine about hunches. I think that's really funny. I wonder how long Leonard Nimoy had to practice that word, because I can't even say it right now.
Right.
I even had to look it up
and have them pronounce that word for us.
Yeah.
Well, I have a problem with Shatner when he says, here's my notes. Oh yeah, Shatner says, yes, a somber emotional state, and Nimoy, right then, a line or two later, says the same thing, somber, and I would pronounce it somber, and Shatner, it comes out of his mouth as somber.
Somber.
Yeah, drives me.
They should loop it. Okay. I thought what was really kind of cool in this, so they're going, and then there's this war, and William Shatner gets taken by some other guys, by Krakow, and Krakow is, wants to make a deal with Captain Kirk. He wants him to send down some troops and everything, just like Oxmix wants him to do. So they're just basically trying to one up each other and use Kirk as their pawn. And but I love when this little kid, they're going, well, how are we going to get in there? Because Kirk steals a car and he's driving with Leonard Nimoy or with Mr. Spock, and they're kind of jerking around in this car, and they come up, and this little kid that you were talking about, and he says, hey, I'll make, Sheldon. He goes, I'll make a scene, but I want a piece of the action. He goes, well, you don't even know what the piece of the action is. What I thought was really cool, and I don't know if it was just in the redone episode or it shows in yours too, but the kid had a black eye. So it was a really neat little touch that they, like, he's a little scrapper. I thought it was cool as hell.
I don't think I've seen that. I wonder if they enhanced it, or is it just not clear on my version? Oh my gosh. Yep, boy, a piece of the action. Yep, that's it at 31:11 and 10 seconds. What do you want? A piece of the action. You don't even know what the action is going to be. I figure it's got to be a thick percentage, or you wouldn't be trying to hit Krakow. Logical. All right, young man, we'll guarantee you a piece of the action if we can pull this thing off. Is that a contract? Done. What do we do? You'll know what to do. Ha!
I like the way Spock kind of falls in line with the captain, and the captain's kind of keeps hinting to him. Well, what kind of percentage is that? Oh, I haven't calculated that, Captain. Well, what kind of this? I love the way Mr. Spock's character kind of starts falling in line. It's pretty funny. But on 3507, it's really interesting because they said that the Horizon didn't have they did not have the non-interference policy, and now
That's right.
Krakow's saying, "Oh, you guys have a non-interference policy," and I'm like, "Where the hell did he hear that? They didn't have that. The Horizon didn't tell him that. How
Oh,
did Krakow all of a sudden know
but they've
that?"
already been in communication with the Federation.
Eh, I'm not going to bite on that one.
Between those 100 years.
No, because they just got the subspace communication because Horizon didn't have it, and they just received it.
I am not going to attempt any kind of discussion on that issue because I think I watched this episode just for the entertainment and never have noticed the inconsistencies like you just
Yeah,
put that out and it's like
yeah.
how many times have I watched this and repeat all the lines and
So that to me was just kind of one that kind of stuck out. I'm like, what they just said. And so then we get, them trying to negotiate with the guy, and Spock's kind of trying to figure out how is he going to pull this off. Kirk, well, we'll check in with him every once in a while, get these guys together. And I think I don't know. It's a cute episode. They got, I like the way they had Captain Kirk trying to, make this whole negotiation. He's got to talk to Scotty up on the Enterprise and have him understand what he's trying to say. Yeah. Without being explicit.
the guy on the other end of the phone.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool, that they get that, and then they get it negotiated, and they're going to check in. They knock everybody out just to show them their supremacy, which I think is funny. The Enterprise is more powerful than they'll ever be on the planet's surface. Right.
Yeah.
So.
But he says, he says they're not dead yet, they're just knocked out. I don't know. I don't think I would have played that card right away. I would have let the bad guys that were just got control back
Let
them be a
them
little bit
wonder
more
about it.
uncertain for a while before you reveal that they're not really dead. I'd be using that to my advantage, because he's kind of acting bold. Come on here, he grabs Bella Oxmix. I'm tired of playing Penny Ante operator. Who are you calling Penny Ante? And with Krakow, I think he does something similar, and he grabs his gun, his phaser away, or his gun out of his hand. It's like, if the other guy wanted to, he could have shot him up, but he was very bold in what he was saying, and all of a sudden acted like he was superior. Kirk was superior, going, "You guys, we're just."
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that.
So you would have let it hang a little bit longer, let them know that you're more superior.
I don't think I would have said right away. And sure, but they had to for our audience, for the Star Trek audience. What'd they do? Did they just kill him? No, they explained it right away. They're just knocked out. It's been phased.
Well, you guys are smart enough to have known that, because when they're beaming them down, they're saying just put it on heavy stun or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So they're already telling, man, just stun these guys. Yeah, you guys are smart crackers.
We're gonna hit him, and we're gonna hit him hard.
Was there more of the episode that you wanted? I mean,
hang on, let me look. No, somber are my biggest. Very entertaining, very fun. I see the actors. Kirk Shatner going from nothing to slowly bringing his accent, and it's gradual.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of got it, and then he lays it on thick. So who was the guy that wrote this? David P. Harmon and Gene Coon.
Yeah.
Well, they made it very fun. Now, so close to The Trouble with Tribbles. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we got three kind of in a row that, yeah,
are
were
the
kind of nice and fun.
fans
Yes.
who are
Yeah.
wanted hardcore, hard science fiction, are they you getting alienated going, what's going on? There's not a comedy.
Yeah. And someone wrote something about that, but he really liked it. It's not really a Star Trek kind of deal, but it's fun and it's entertaining and it gets a B plus. So on his B plus, I don't know what that equates in our chart. What's a B plus?
Oh, this I this
Is that a
this guy
70?
this guy I'm gonna rate it real high.
Anyway, someone wrote that it was fun and he liked it, but it's not a typical Star Trek, which is funny because we just came off of two that were fun, right? I think, or just one that was fun. I don't know. At least
Trouble with Tribbles,
Trouble.
and we had the Triskelion episode.
Yeah, the Trace Gallon, both fun episodes. So we had two in a row, and now we got a third.
Come
So it's
with
kind of
some
a Star
heavy,
Trek.
fun stuff, comedy.
Yeah, yeah, comedy, little comedy there.
Yeah, look at that. We did Friday's Child, Deadly Years, Obsession, Wolf in the Fold, Trouble with Tribbles, Gamesters of the Triskelion, A Piece of the Action.
Mhm.
Next episode is gonna be really rip roaring fun. You'll be laughing all the way. I hope it's got lots of time travel in it for you and Scotty repairing the Enterprise. You're just gonna love it.
So here's what he said. I found it. It's a B plus rating, noting that it was very silly hour of Trek, and it's a wonderfully entertaining one. There you go. Wonderfully entertaining. There you go. Kind of fun episode. Looking at all the people running around in there and just thinking about their ages now, that made this episode. It's like all these actors, and I don't even is Gino Coon, he's probably passed on now, right? Probably passed on a while ago.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So we're getting, hell, it's been 1960, whatever, 1968.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 50 some odd years ago.
50,
What?
54 years.
Yeah, 54 years. Yeah.
Do you have a problem with this episode at all? I mean, you're not even it didn't bother you at all, right? I mean, you're okay with
I
it?
like this episode. I thought it was a great episode.
Huh?
I was kind of wondering, did they really enjoy filming this episode? I think that it was a fun episode, but I'm not sure that I think on some of them, maybe Trouble with Tribbles, they might have got a bigger kick out of filming the Trouble with Tribbles. But this one, I think they might have gotten a kick out of too. I'm not sure if it was I don't hear as much about a piece of the action as like with the Trouble with Tribbles or some of the other ones. So I'm just, I don't know how much of a kick they got out of film making this episode, but I thought it was a good episode. I think it's fun.
I
Yeah.
think it's like so Mirror Mirror they totally got to dress up different,
Yeah.
and Trouble with Troubles they got to act different and do some humor.
Uh-huh.
Piece of the Action, I think that they got to do some humor which is not really their thing. Would have been fun for the actors for a change, I
Yeah.
would imagine.
Yeah.
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 I give it a high score because it is so funny to me. Um, it's probably is it going to be the first episode that reaches into the 90s? It's got a 92 at least.
Oh, very good. Very good. I think you reached up in the 90s before. No,
Oh,
this isn't the first. Yeah.
oh really? So
Yeah.
92,
Yeah.
94. I wouldn't go higher than that, but somewhere it's great. It's
So do you give odd numbers because 93 would be between 92 and 94? You know that, right?
uh, there's no. You think I've hit 90 before? Yeah, we both hit 90 before on a
Yeah,
read.
you've been over 90 before.
I am gonna say 92 to be
92.
to be safe.
Okay. 92 it is.
What do you? Oh, well, speak your mind. What?
I'm
What's
going to
your?
give it an 84. I'm going to go in there with yours, some of yours from before. I'm giving it an 84. I thought it was a
Nice.
good fun episode.
That's what I rated last episode.
I think it was something like that. Yeah. Watching. So I had an interview with someone today and it was really surprising. You want to hear about it?
Yes.
It's amazing the world and how small it is. So this woman, she does energy work and all this other stuff, right? So she used to work for Warner Brothers, and she'd worked with who did Avatar and Titanic.
Cameron?
Cameron. So she did Cameron, and she said she was just getting him on the messaging board when they were making some movies. She's saying, hey, you really need to get on the messaging board and do your social kind of media. So she introduced Cameron into that, right? So she was working with them on it. But then she said that she worked for, guess who? Major Barrett. After Gene Roddenberry had passed away. And she said that Major, when she interviewed with her, she said she didn't want a Trekkie or Trekker working for whatever reason, I guess, because she said her house was, and she did tell me, and I knew this already, that Major has already passed away. I knew that. But she said her house, everything was really kind of a whitish color. Kind of the whole house was just a white, right? And except for this one room. And Major said that she let Gene Roddenberry work in his one room. It was his room. And she said it was all like cherry wood panels and this big desk. And she said she could feel the energy of Gene Roddenberry, and she went in there and just did her writing and stuff. And then she said that they had the ashes of Gene Roddenberry, and she had to put some in like a vial or a tube, she said, and pack it. And she had to take it over because NASA was so part of Gene Roddenberry is, I know that from, I think I heard it before, but I knew it from today because she's the one that delivered it to get it to them to put it up in the spaceship and launch it. Yeah. So she said she was driving around and someone goes, what's in your back seat? She goes, oh, that's Gene Roddenberry. Interesting. So yeah, so she worked for Major Barrett for a while.
Wow.
She was kind of excited about it.
Not a Trekkie.
Not a Trekkie. No, she wasn't a Trekkie. She said she didn't know anything about Star Trek when she worked for Major Barrett. So she learned about it, of course, but she said she didn't know when yeah. And Major said, good. She said, are you a Trek? She said, no. She goes, good, because I don't want a Trekkie. I don't know why Major Barrett wanted someone besides a Trekkie.
A fan. She wants to get work done.
Yeah, probably. What about this? What about that? Yeah. So anyway, it was a really interesting conversation. You know, it wasn't just about Star Trek; it was about other stuff. But she mentioned, because I told her, I said that you and I do this thing, and she's going, "Oh, cool!" And then she said, "I have to tell you so there you go."
What kind of stuff? What kind of stuff is she applying for, or what do you need for work?
No, I do another thing for work. So it has to do with what people do in their life and how technology affects what they're doing and how they've adapted technology. And she's like, she does some sort of energy work, right? So and teaching, like she teaches stuff. And so, before you would teach, and now it's pretty much you do Zoom, and because of the pandemic, she gets, and it allows her to have a bigger reach. She does a podcast all the time. She does a podcast twice a week. So she's really embraced technology, and she said podcasts are great and really good for her. And it's energizing for her to do her podcast, and she has fun. And yeah, so I'll have it up in a while and you can watch.
Whereas we have pain every time
we have pain. It's so hard. It's so hard. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. So that's it. Yeah.